昔々、現在の中国で、風断の戦争をして、立派なキングダムがあった。
The Warring States period, a time spanning 2.5 centuries in which China was divided into 7 states engaged in constant war over land and supremacy across the realm. A period defined by the emergence of some of the most legendary generals and warriors to be recorded within the annals of history, who led China onto its historic path to power. The 6 great generals of Qin, the 3 great heavens of Zhao, the 6 fire dragons of Wei. These genius strategic minds and fierce warmongers clashed and brought immense success to their allies and utter annihilation to their foes. Little did they know, however, of a young pair of abandoned slaves, sparring with wooden swords in a small, insignificant village in southern Qin, who would single-handedly come to change the future of all of China and aspire to become the greatest generals under the heavens. This is the story of Kingdom. I knew little to nothing before coming into Kingdom, but for a manga to run ever since 2006 and accrue 68 volumes and counting speaks volumes to Yasuhisa Hara's work, the mangaka. And a couple weeks ago I began Kingdom, knowing that I was about to undertake a lengthy journey through the 750 plus chapters of this ongoing story. What did take me by surprise, though, was that already within 200 chapters, this manga skyrocketed to become easily one of my favorite manga that I've ever had the pleasure of reading. The series has sold nearly 100 million copies and has even earned a Guinness World Record in 2012 as the manga written by the most people. How is that possible? One might ask. That's what I asked, before I was blessed enough to witness The Social Kingdom, a campaign that gave the task of redrawing an entire volume of Kingdom to fans and other artists, in one of the coolest collections of artwork I've ever seen. I mean, how often do you get to see Takehiko Inoue's beautiful artwork side by side with the indiscernible scribbles of an unnamed fan? Single pages alone might give you a drawing by Eiichiro Oda, the author of One Piece, followed by a spread containing superbly detailed and traditional Asian art, and then the darkest, most depraved looking frame to ever be drawn on a manga page. It's incredibly fun and creative, and so many people coming together to recreate one of this story's best volumes is a testament to its greatness, truly. Now, Kingdom follows a young, brash, headstrong, and frankly quite stupid boy named Shin, who has one dream: to become a general unrivaled under the heavens. And as you might expect, the story follows him as he grows older and pursues just that, in a fashion that, for me, felt comfortably nostalgic, reminding me of shonen's most classic characters, those who shaped my childhood. There is something comforting about the era of the early 2000s that defined its shonen stories by the strong, stupid, but bold protagonists that we all love so deeply and fully. A part of me felt that, despite how much we've seen this type of main character before as anime and manga readers, being able to read Kingdom now as I'm older has given me more appreciation for that archetype and what Shin and the rest of these characters truly represent: unadulterated, uninhibited passion. Shin is the type of character who will never fall until he achieves his dream, and what makes that character so amazing within their respective stories isn't just that they won't fall, it's seeing that belief being imbued in his friends, allies, comrades. Their confidence that Shin is a pillar of strength for them all. It's not that he can't fall, but that he never will. It's a fact in all of their heads. But the one thing that really differentiates Kingdom from those other stories for me is how this very cartoonish, archetypal fictional protagonist is born into such an utterly real world. Kingdom is based on real historic events found in the Shiji, a historic record written and compiled in the Han Dynasty that kept records of a total of 3,000 years of Chinese history. This means that, yes, if you know all the details of the Warring States period in China, have read the Shiji, you might know how the story ends. But even if that's the case, in no way does that knowledge detract one bit from just how enjoyable this manga is. Because despite being based on real history, the Shiji is little more than a labeled timeline. The characters, their stories, their paths, they are all meticulously crafted by Yasuhisa Hara to make it so that these destination points along the Chinese historical timeline feel just as monumental as they really were. I mean, what is history besides a couple dates without the context to add the weight to it? In my opinion, there are few things more exciting in entertainment than in historical fiction or stories based on real events when the story actually refers to the real events. And there is no shortage of these moments in Kingdom, when you are greeted at the end of a surreal, twisted, and mind-boggling story arc with a quote from the Shiji stating that this is 100% true. This feeling of real stakes and history grounds the story, and makes the story feel so crazy, because this is just history and normal people, and it shouldn't be this crazy and unbelievable, but it simply was. Well, yes, the characters' personalities for the most part, their strength levels, skills, and the like, they've been fabricated by the mangaka, showing a good degree of creative freedom and fudging the line between history and fiction. But despite all of that, Kingdom slaps you in the face almost every chapter with the hard-hitting truth. This is history. Believe your eyes. And this real world clashes with Shin's character. Because despite how the Warring States period in China sounds, this was not just a world dominated by strength. Shin is strong and kinda dumb, but it isn't as simple as just picking a fight and beating your enemy all the time. The story of Kingdom shows us, in times of war, just how much more exists beyond the battlefield. You have to think of this in the sense of real life. What decides the fate of war? Is it the strength of its warriors? Is it the quality of their weapons? No. It's the strategists that manipulate the battle to become what they desire. It's the politicians who decide when and where to act and when to wage war. This is how real war is. Kingdom never fails to show not only how strong Shin is, but how weak he is as well. War isn't just battle, it's atrocities and violence of extreme scales. Pillaging, torture, backstabbing. Shin is a pure soul in our world that accepts and often encourages that kind of behavior to the so-called victors of war. Shin is good in a terrible place, which once again makes his actions and rise to power throughout the story feel all the more well-deserved and prideful for us as readers. But at the same time, the story always shows us that Shin's way of thinking can also be thought of as very naive. Shin wants to become a great general of war, and yet he refuses to accept certain ways that war has always worked. Though his character feels very shonen, very simple at first glance, Kingdom is incredibly thought-provoking to read because you're transporting this naive, pure, and strong type of character into a story that is almost entirely the opposite of that, where strategists betray each other and fill the battlefield with innumerable twists and turns of tactics, and the greatest generals allow their soldiers to pillage and commit atrocities as much as they want if it means they will be the victors. And the politics of war force you to hold yourself back from doing something you know should or must be done, yet cannot because a person of power tells you not to. This is reality. Kingdom is a story about war. It's dark. You see things you don't want to see. And what makes it all the worse is knowing that it isn't just some fictional, depraved characters doing this acts. You can't separate yourself from it because it's real history. The Battle of Changping, where Qin's soldiers are said to have killed 400,000 surrendered soldiers by burying them alive. These aren't the kinds of moments that you can easily swallow. And as I said, Kingdom makes it very clear that war is not something to be glorified, even though, yes, it is a story all about war. Because there is a ray of hope in everything, and that hope is Shin. It is the people in the world who show us that there is something worth fighting for and believing in, and his victories in battle as he strives to achieve his dream, despite the world fighting against him, make Kingdom one of the greatest manga I've ever read. In this sense, Kingdom makes the idea of a general very real. With being the strongest, or Hokage, or Wizard King, it simply means power and respect when you think about it. It's challenging to conceptualize all these different, powerful, and achieving positions. But being a general isn't just that. What we witness alongside Shin's growth as a character is a growth in his dream of being a general unrivaled under the heavens. To be a general is to be willing to send your men to their deaths for the greater good. To not abandon their lives and forget them to a cause, but instead take their deaths with you as another burden on your shoulders that pushes you to make sure you succeed, that the troops you send to follow them don't fall to the same fate. To be a general is to view the battlefield in a way that no one else sees, and guide your troops to a fate they will likely not even understand, but you know it will lead to certain victory. To be a general is to be at both the forefront and the backbone of each and every soldier under your command. That is what Shin learns is far more important than just the label of general. To be called a general is far different from what it means to really be one. I truly believe there are few manga of as epic of a scale as Kingdom, and I cannot recommend it enough. Thanks for watching, guys. I know it's been a while. As always, this has been the Anime Culture Corner. I hope you enjoyed the video. Don't forget to like and subscribe for future in-depth show, manga, and character analyses.